I'm seeing a couple people popping on. We'll wait just a minute to let a few more folks get here. Love to know how your Easter is going, or went, I guess. It's almost done now. We just finished our dinner here as our little trio family. We do not need to have any extra props tonight, just a mat. Unless you need something for sitting, like blocks under your knees, or if you'd like a pillow or a blanket to sit on. Waiting just one more minute. Maybe drop me a line, let me know you're here. Oh, Audrey went for a beautiful 3-mile walk downtown. It was really nice this morning, the good better part of the middle of the day today. That's nice. I'm hoping we get more of those nice days this week. Happy Easter, Ashley. All right, we're gonna go ahead and start on our backs. I've got my assistant back here, my husband. So we'll be starting on our backs. Just want to change the music. There we go. My mom is here. Happy Easter. So just starting to notice your breath. It's hard on these days where we're used to having one thing happen and it's different than it has been before. If you were with me on Thursday night, we started talking about some of the philosophy of yoga. We worked through ahimsa and focused on that first of the yamas. And tonight we'll be working a little bit with the second. We worked through nonviolence last week. This week we're going to be looking a little bit at satya, which is truthfulness. All of our truths are changing rapidly right now from day to day. I started reading a little bit through one of my favorite books from yoga teacher training. And there's a couple of parts that really spoke to me, and I hope that they also speak to you. So just being gentle on yourself, noticing the breath and not trying to change anything. Let me share with you. When we are real rather than nice, when we choose self-expression over self-indulgence, when we choose growth over the need to belong, and when we choose fluidity over rigidity, we begin to understand the deeper dynamics of truthfulness, and we begin to taste the freedom and goodness of this jewel. There's pieces of this truthfulness that are kind of calling to me during this time where we're kind of transitioning from having community to having to search out community. Living the life that cries to be lived from the depth of our being frees up a lot of energy and vitality. On the other hand, suppressing that life for whatever reason takes a lot of our life energy just in the managing of pretending. So tonight, with this truthfulness, I'd like to invite you to move through this gentle flow in a way that feels honest, allowing whatever needs to come up and to be able to sit with that. We're afforded this time right now that we don't usually have. And the grace that we have to sit with it is the biggest gift we can give ourselves. So moving into a 3-part breath here, beginning to really let that belly expand on the inhale, the lower belly, the upper belly, then feeling the ribs expand and open, feeling a pause at the top of that breath, then exhaling, releasing that air from the chest, from the upper belly, and the lower belly. Holding it softly and gently at the bottom. Beginning to have this continuous breath, allowing yourself almost to feel the anticipated breath. It's a little trick to keep you focused on the breath instead of going away with the thoughts, is to really pay attention to the part that comes next. Keeping you in that wave, that ebb and that flow of your breath. Feeling grounded into the mat, feeling heavy through all of the parts of you that are touching the mat, that are sinking in. Allowing your body to feel heavy, but also feel the weight of the bones. Feel the weight of whatever it is that you've been carrying and allow it to melt into the earth. Allowing the earth to absorb and to take away and to free up some of that space, that heaviness. When you're ready, we'll gently begin to move the toes, wiggle the fingers. Rotating wrists and ankles. Bending at the elbows. Bending at the knees. And pulling those knees up into the chest when you're ready. Finding some stillness here. Feeling the heaviness of the lower back as you sink into the floor. Letting the shoulders pull down towards the earth, feeling heavy. Letting the back of the head be heavy, feeling grounded. Take the hands to the top of the knees and begin to draw circles on the ceiling. Just little. Letting them maybe get larger and larger. Maybe you let go of the knees and let those circles really take their largest form. When you're ready, reversing those circles, starting with the large, finding them smaller and smaller, maybe bringing those hands back to the tops of the knees until you find stillness once again. Keeping that right knee pulled in tight towards the body, we'll raise this left foot up towards the ceiling, pointing and flexing the toes. Pointing and maybe drawing tiny circles, working into that hip, one way and the other. Letting that left leg eventually just to come long on the mat. Again here, feeling the back of that left leg firm to the earth. Feeling everything sinking in. Leaving the right hand on the knee or the shin of that right leg, we'll let that begin to open up to the right side. The left hand can be at your side or out in T. It's up to you. Sometimes it's nice to put that left hand on that left hip just to make sure that you're keeping that hip towards the earth and not letting it lift off the floor. When you're ready, that right knee will come up and over the body, working into our first twist here to the left side. That left hand can come to the knee, and the right hand can be planted on the floor or out in T. Maybe looking over that right shoulder. Working that full rotation of the spine. Maybe following it up and down with your breath. When you're ready, that knee will come back through center. Left knee comes up to meet the right. Maybe rocking side to side, resetting those hips. Finding some stillness and maybe noticing if one feels different than the other. Feeling the heaviness of the lower back and shoulders into the floor. See if you need to relax those shoulders back once again. If maybe they've scrunched up towards the ears. Keeping that left knee tucked in, we'll take the right foot up towards the ceiling. Letting that leg come long, pointing and flexing. Drawing tiny circles on the ceiling with that right foot. And the other way. When you've had enough, that right leg's going to come nice and long on the mat. Feeling that right heel sink in, that right calf sink in. Noticing all the places that were rooted, melting. We'll take this left knee into the left hand and allow it to open up towards that left side. That right arm can be at your side, it can be in T, or you could bring it to your right hip as a reminder to stay grounded in that right hip. Trying to keep it on the floor, not lifting up. Breathing into that space. Lifting that knee through center, allowing it to cross over the body, coming to the right side as we twist into this right side here. This left hand can be next to you, it can be out in T, possibly taking your gaze over that left shoulder. Maybe following that breath from the tailbone all the way up the spine into the neck and back down. Releasing this twist here, coming back through center, letting the right knee come up to meet the left. Eventually planting both feet on the floor, walking them out to the sides, to the long edges of the mat, so that your feet are wider than the hips. Letting the knees fall together here. Maybe letting those hands rest on the belly. Maybe your palms up, the arms next to your sides. Wherever you're at, you're tracing that breath, anticipating the next breath that will come after the one that you're in. Begin to walk those feet towards one another, letting the knees fall out to the side into this reclined butterfly. Taking the arms up next to you in these goalpost arms, this reclined goddess pose. Noticing the way that the feet are grounded to the earth, the openness in the hips, the openness in the heart. Imagining that beam of light coming from your chest, that space in the heart, letting it shoot out into this world that we're in right now. Sharing a little bit of the love that you have for it and for one another. Ready, we'll slowly begin to bring those knees back together. Pulling both knees back into the chest. And when you're ready, we'll take 4 or 5 rocks back and forth until you find yourself coming up to a comfortable seat. Massaging that spine, massaging that lower back. Taking your time. Finding your hands at heart center here. Tucking the chin. Consciously taking note of where you're rooted in through your seat. How those hip bones are pulling towards the earth. Where the legs are touching. Maybe where the ankles are crossed and touching. All of these places of strength. Inhaling, we'll breathe in, scooping these arms up overhead. Exhaling, hands to heart center. Inhaling, scooping the arms up once again. Exhaling, hands to heart center. Inhaling, scooping these arms up overhead. This time exhaling as hard as you can, ridding that air from the depths of the lungs. Finding a gentle breath. We'll take this left hand to the floor, taking the right ear to the right shoulder. Staying here, or possibly taking this left hand behind the back, reaching over towards that right hip. Feeling that stretch in the neck move just a bit. If you'd like even more, you can take this right hand to the side of the face, giving it just a little weight. Not pulling here, not forcing anything. Coming back to the breath, coming back to that place of grounding in, settling in, sinking into your mat and your space. Releasing both arms, the right fingertips come to the mat. Left ear to left shoulder. Leaving the right fingertips where they're at, or possibly tucking that arm behind the back, reaching that hand over towards that left hip. If you've got any tightness in your shoulders, this will surely let you know. Same on this side. You can bring your hands to the side of your face, or you can leave it where it's at. Releasing the side of the face, releasing the arm, sort of letting the shoulders come up towards the ears, crunching everything in, tighten, 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 and then let them drop. Again, tighten them up, shrug up towards the ears, and let them drop. One last time, shrug the shoulders, tighten them up towards your ears, and then let them drop. We'll plant this right hand and we'll begin to bend over towards this right side. The left arm comes up and over. Finding length here before you decide how far you'd like to bend. That bend can be with a straight arm. You can come down to the forearm. The trick here is to leave this left hip grounded into the earth. So you go only as far as that hip stays right where it's at. Lifting up and over, we'll plant the left hand, right arm comes up towards the ceiling, then over towards that left side. Keeping that arm pulled back, that chest coming forward, that gaze looking up. Coming up through center, that right hand plants again, bending over, tipping to that right side. We're gonna flow with this a little bit. So we will bend forward towards that right knee, drag that right hand across the floor towards the left knee, bending over to that left side. Exhaling, sweeping that arm across to the other side. Inhaling. With your exhales, you're moving, sweeping across. With your inhales, you're letting that chest open, that heart open forward. One more to either side. Coming back all the way through center. We'll move into this pose. It's Lord of the Fishes, which is one of the more interesting yoga names. But we're going to leave this left leg on the floor, letting that left foot kind of pull over towards that right hip a little bit. And we're going to go ahead and cross this top leg over. So we're in a little bit of a twist here. It's not quite as far as shoelace where your knees are stacked, but just allowing this right foot to be on the floor, sitting up nice and tall, maybe holding on to this knee. If this does not work for that bottom leg, it can come out nice and long in front of you. Either way, we're sitting up nice and tall here. Feeling how our hips have moved and shifted, where they're connected to the earth and how they're grounding in. We're gonna twist over towards this right side. So either holding this right leg, finding some length here, planting that right hand and twisting, or taking this left arm to hook that knee, finding some length again, and then twisting, looking over that right shoulder. In these spaces where our breath becomes a little bit tighter, where we're squeezing and compressing, it becomes really important to try to find the other spaces where we can find a little bit more space. So we may lose some of our ability in this right twist and that right lung, but can we find more open space in that left side? Releasing the twist, coming forward. We're going to take this bottom leg and untuck it, letting it come nice and long. We're going to keep this right leg over top. So we're not quite in a figure four, but if a figure four is where your leg will go, then that's where we'll stay. Otherwise, we're in sort of this half Lord of Fishes here with our knee, finding some length here, letting that knee come to settle down towards the leg. We're inhaling here. And then exhaling to fold forward. You will not have to fold very far before you feel this on the outside of that left leg, that IT band. So reaching for the knee, for the leg, for the toes, letting the head fall, rounding in. Going for that feeling of that 3 or 4. A place where we can feel the stretch, appreciate the stretch, allow for the benefit of the stretch to happen in the body. But only to the place that we know we could do this again tomorrow if we wanted to. Releasing this fold here. Letting the bottoms of both feet come to the floor. A little wider than hips width distance. We'll take first an exaggerated windshield wiper here. So we will let the legs fall over to the left. Inhaling up and over to the right. Holding this in place for the exhale. Inhales are up and over. Exhales, we're holding space. One more to each side. Time to do the same thing on the other side. So, here we go. Left leg is on the bottom this time. Sliding that left foot over towards the right hip. Letting this right leg come to cross over top. Or sorry, the left leg. Not needing to stack our knees here. This bottom leg can stay tucked or it can come out long. It's up to you. Either way does not matter. Finding some length and some height here. Sitting up nice and tall. Taking a deep inhale. On the exhale, we're twisting over towards that left side. So we're planting that left hand behind the seat, either holding onto the knee or hooking that elbow. Looking over that left shoulder. Again, noticing if the breath feels in any way constrained. Searching for a place of ease. That could be backing off. That could be moving that breath deeper or shallow. Releasing the twist, coming back through center. We'll straighten this bottom leg. This right leg comes long. This left leg stays folded over. Again, if this does not work for you, you can come into this figure 4 with the knee crossed or even just next. If this works for you, it's quite a stretch. Enjoy it. Take the arms up overhead, inhaling. Exhaling, folding forward again. This is not a space that you will have to go very far to start feeling the stretch happening in that space. Some of us will feel this in our IT bands. Some of us will have a really intense calf stretch here. For some of us, it might go up all the way up the back of the leg. Taking a couple more breaths in this space. Releasing, coming up nice and tall. Uncurling those legs, taking those feet out wide. This time we'll just take a couple windshield wipers side to side, however you like, exaggerated or not. And eventually we'll all find ourselves in hands and knees. So however you can get there is the way that you're going to get there. So we will all find ourselves in hands and knees. Untucking the toes so that the feet can come flat to the mat. Bending a nice flat back. Spreading those fingers out wide, feeling the heaviness that comes through your shin, through the palms of your hands, through the fingers, pulling you towards the earth, towards your mat. Maybe taking a deep breath here, a deep exhale out of the mouth. Beginning to move into just a few cats and cows, moving that spine, so letting the belly drop, letting that chin come up tall. Letting that tailbone tip up. Exhaling, moving into that cat. Letting the back arch, looking towards the knees, letting the tailbone tip down. Moving with your own breath here. Deciding if you'd like to stay with these cats and cows, or if there's something else that your body is asking of you. Maybe it wants to peek over one shoulder, the other. Maybe it wants to come into a child. Moving from child to cat to cow. Back to cats, back to child. Taking just a few breaths here. Closing the eyes. Moving in a way that feels good for you. Paying extra close attention, especially today, to how we're rooted into the earth. At these times when we start to feel disconnected from our family, from our jobs, from our community, from our schools, it's one of the ways that we can remind ourselves to stay grounded, is to pay extra attention in yoga as we're rooting in whatever pose we're working through. When you're ready, we will bring our big toes together, come back to sit on the heels. Letting the belly come towards the earth, falling into this child's pose. Letting the forehead come to the mat, maybe rocking it side to side. how that grounding comes different when it comes through the forearms. As the weight shifts back, how those shins press in just a little deeper. When you're ready, we'll come all the way through table, all the way down to the belly. Letting our right cheek fall to the mat. Letting the arms come out into T. Noticing your heartbeat, that front side of your body as it melts into the floor. We'll be coming into broken wing on the right side here. So this left hand begins to come up towards your shoulder. That will be our kickstand. The right arm stays in T. As we begin to roll to the right side, working into that shoulder. So you may be able to get to a place where your hips are stacked, resting the head, using this right arm as the kickstand, or sorry, left arm as the kickstand. It might be really intense on the shoulder and you might have to back off a little bit. Or you might like to go just a little deeper, taking this top foot, this left foot, bending the left knee, planting the left foot behind the right knee. Noticing where your breath moves. Noticing the side body grounded into the earth. Taking one more breath here. Slowly starting to let that top leg come long. Stacking the hips once again. Letting the body come slowly back towards the earth. Letting that belly come towards the earth. Letting this left arm come out nice and long. Working over onto the other side. Twist around so that you can see. So turning to that left cheek, bending this right arm so that the right hand comes under the shoulder, left arm is in T. Beginning to push through center, starting to stack the hips. And then deciding if this top right leg will come up, bending the right knee, planting that right foot behind the left knee. Staying here. Finding your breath. Exhaling out anything that you don't need. Any of those thoughts that don't serve you. When you're ready, that top leg, that right leg comes long. We begin to allow ourselves to roll back onto the belly. And from here, we're simply going to flip over onto our backs to start working towards our Shavasana. So lying on the back here. I'm going to take a little bit of a twist. You can take a traditional twist here. I'm going to take a cross leg twist. So just taking this right leg, crossing it over the left, as if you were crossing your leg sitting on a chair. You can leave it on the floor and twist over, or you can lift that left foot off the floor a little bit, and then begin to twist. It's up to you. And then take that gaze over the right shoulder. Releasing, coming through center, uncrossing the legs, crossing this left leg over the right, and letting those legs fall over towards that right side. Maybe it feels the same on the side, maybe it's a little different. Staying ahead of that breath in an effort to stay with it. Sometimes even thinking, I am inhaling, I am exhaling, or I breathe in, I breathe out. Bringing those knees back towards center. Taking just a tiny little happy baby before we stretch out long. So those knees will come down towards the arms. I like to take my peace fingers to my big toes and bring those feet up towards the sky. Finding first some stillness here. Noticing how that mid back is ground into the mat. And the upper back, you can start to feel the breath. And then if you'd like, you can begin to straighten one leg and straighten the other, rocking side to side, finding a little movement. Whatever feels good to you. When you're finished, releasing those legs, letting the legs come out long on the mat. Maybe taking a stretch of those arms up overhead, taking a deep inhale here, and an audible exhale. Once more, nice and long. Audible exhale. One more if you need it. Letting those arms come by your sides. Letting the toes fall out to the corners of the mat. Falling into a nice easy breath here. Maybe breathing with the mantra, so hum. Inhaling on so, exhaling on hum. Inhaling on so, exhaling hum. before we begin to wake, I'll share one more thing from this book. As we're working into this truthfulness, this satya, what we believe, whether we are aware of that belief or not, informs everything we do and every choice we make. To be a bold person of truth is to constantly look for what we are not seeing and to expose ourselves to different views other than the ones we hold sacred. The question becomes, what am I not seeing? What am I saying? And what is my truth? When you're ready, we'll start to wake the body, wiggling the fingers and the toes. Finding some movement here, whether it's bending at the knees and letting them come into the chest, or maybe letting those arms come up and overhead, stretching out long. Eventually, we'll find ourselves rolling to our favorite side, into this fetal pose. Our reset button, our restart button. This place where we get to try again. When you're ready, you'll use that top arm to help push yourself up to a nice, easy seat. Bringing the hands to heart center, letting that thumb really push into the sternum, tucking the chin. Feeling yourself grounded in once more. Letting that earth help to pull from you anything that does not suit you right now. Taking the hands, rubbing them together, creating some friction, a gathering of that energy that you've created without thinking too hard. Go ahead, release those hands and place them somewhere on you that might need a little extra love. Releasing those hands back through heart center, tucking the chin. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace in body, peace in speech, and peace in mind. Thank you for being here and practicing this Easter day with me, with all of us. Namaste. I hope you all have a lovely Easter. I did see Kelly asked a question about what book I was reading from. It's this one. It's the Yamas and Niyamas. Exploring Yoga's Ethical Practice by Deborah Adele. It's great. It's on Amazon. It's probably one of the most highlighted books that I have with the most notes. And a lot of things to offer for yourself and for others. So, everybody have a lovely evening. And I will be back teaching on Thursday night at 7. Love you. Mwah.